I guess they can hear me. I might as well go on. Hey, didn't even mute my mic this whole time. I'm over here like drinking my coffee and getting things pulled back up. The thunder, the lightning killed my power. So we are back. We are back live from the Hive. Yeah, it suddenly, because the storms got so dark outside, suddenly it just went dark in here. It's like, whoa! I have angered the gods. I don't know which part of what I'm going to cover today that the Great Beyond is trying to keep me from sharing with you, but they sent their storm demons after me. But we are going to persevere. The swarm will thrive. The swarm will go on. And I appreciate everybody for coming back in. I'm just going to give it a couple minutes and then we'll go right into Cryptic Corner. Just giving it a couple minutes for people to transition over from the... What's that? Yeah, mics don't fart. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it was a hot mic. Because, I never... It popped right. This is a good system because it pops me right. I didn't have to redo anything on the OBS at all. Everything pops back up. So someone got me this great computer. Someone got me this great hair. People do love me. People do want me in their lives. People do want me to thrive and be happy, and I know that, and I know that that's the people I'm seeing out here right now. So I'm glad everybody's making the shift on over. Looks like we've got a handful that have been left behind, but I'm not going to hang on too much because it's already 5 minutes into Cryptic Corner time, and due to the storm, due to the anger of the gods, or maybe the anger of the star of Cryptic Corner themselves. So I will see you guys over there. I'm having all kinds of audio issues. That's fine. People are still rolling in anyway. Thank you so much for joining me in Cryptic Corner this evening. We are recording this during the storm live from the Hive. So thank you for that that I'm dealing with right now. So yeah, I see it. I was muted. Thank you guys. Yeah. I didn't stay muted that long this time. I'm watching my chat, and you guys are actually coming in more closer to real time. So yeah, welcome to Cryptic Corner. Today we are going to be looking into something that's been. It's one of these ones that's smaller, and I was like, okay, I gotta figure out how to cover this because it's a freaking fantastic story. But anyhow, in Cryptic Corner, we like to pick apart supernatural, alien, and cryptic or super science. Any of this stuff, we pick it apart and see if with a skeptic lens and see what actually is underneath it. Yeah, the machine gremlins are going goblin. Maybe maybe the day star is a gremlin. We're looking at a bizarre creature that I bet a lot of you guys have never even heard of. Let me pull it up here. This is something from the island of White. Actually, I'll say it's a new one for us here in the Hive. We'll leave it at that. Let's see here. So, but we've covered, aliens before, so it's not like so different from that. This is Sam of all colors, or all colors Sam, or the Sandown Clown, as he's. Yeah, Bree is muted. That's the name of the band. Yeah, I'm like replacing Knock by being the star who does that every show. Anyway, so this is the Sandown Clown. So what the heck is the Sandown Clown? That sounds weird, right? And it looks weird too. Look at this thing. Look at what we have here. Let me see if I can get this a little bit bigger. Let's see if we open up image in a new tab, and I can zoom in on the face. Yeah, look at our friend here. Okay, so this is a drawing of Sam, and Sam is the Sandown Clown. These are his triangle eyes. This is his square piggy nose. His cheeks are divided by 2. And he's got like a fleshlight for a mouth. So he's a bizarre creature with 3 toes. But one of the weirdest thing about him is this right here. It's this microphone that Sam carried around with him. But I actually found a video, so I don't have to sit here and explain it all by myself. And I'm going to let them explain it while we cut in like we do with our commentary. All right, so I guess I should plug the channel first. What I'm talking about, I always forget to do that. Shrouded Hands is the channel that this is put out by. This is this thing toes the line of urban legend and supernatural sighting, because some of the stuff about it is like confirmed that this is here and this is there, but a lot of the information about it is gleaned from like third-hand accounts. I did too. Yes, I did too. And I actually watched his video because he goes out walking in the area, and I may at some point check that video out on live too, just for fun. But here we go. Me too. Me too. Yep. I look for strange occurrences and stuff. His video. Actually, it was a while ago. Remember back when there was the clown sightings and stuff, and I couldn't think of anything to anything to cover on CryptoCorner. It's been a long time ago, and there was all the clown sightings and our clown reports and stuff. And I was like, maybe I can do something about that. Maybe we can explore whether that's a thing. And it was that way that typing in clown sightings and things like that I stumbled upon cool dudes walking site. This video I don't think was up yet. It might have been though. Just the channel we're watching. Mm-hmm. I always wondered if this was the inspiration for like Stephen King's, if at all, if Stephen King had ever heard this story. I guess not that it was maybe not that it was like a direct inspiration or anything, but I've always wondered if Stephen King, ever since I found out about this, I was like, I wonder if that's because the time frame and everything to when he was, he was Stephen King in what they said the 70s, right? So yeah, we all know what Stephen King was up to in the 70s. By the way, this channel, the Shrouded Hands, excuse me, say what you want about their content, about their position on this. Their transitions are masterful on their edited videos. This is inspirational to me. Did you see that grass? That was like 3 different images that brought us from the little girl running when then the grass came in and then yeah. Anyway, I'm just as someone who spends a lot of. You can't hear the video. Are you kidding me? There we go. Okay, well,
This happened in early May 1973 in Sandown on the Isle of Wight. 2 children, a boy and a girl of 7 years of age, were near...
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I just... So yeah, okay, we'll start over. I quit. No, this morning has been a nightmare, and I woke up in good spirits. I was dancing around singing while I was getting dressed because I was happy about covering this.
Lake Common in Sandown. At around 4 o'clock, they heard in the distance an eerie wailing noise, which they described as sounding similar to an ambulance siren. They walked in the direction of the sound, which took them over a golf course and through a hedge until they ended up in a swampy field next to Sandown Airport. As they entered the field, the wailing noise stopped, so they decided to explore the area. Nearby was a narrow stream with a wooden bridge crossing it. As they walked across the bridge, a 3-fingered hand wearing a blue glove rose up from underneath. The hand was attached to a strange figure who emerged from underneath the bridge holding a book.
So tell me, this doesn't sound like it would be like the inspiration for Stephen King's ad. It just to me, it just sounds like, yeah, that's basically what I'm saying. And yeah, I know I was muted before. I'm just I'm having a time, Some people know what I've been struggling with the last few days, and some people don't. But if you do, just a little bit of grace goes a long way. I appreciate everybody for hanging in and sticking with me. But we're gonna get through this. We're gonna find out what this crazy clown creature is. If I do it one way or the other.
He dropped the book into the water and spent some time splashing about trying to retrieve it. The description of this person or creature is highly unusual, and I'll quote it exactly as it was first reported. He was nearly 7 feet tall and had no neck, for his head appeared to be wedged straight onto his shoulders. He wore a yellow pointed hat which interlocked with the red collar of a green tunic. A round black knob was affixed to the top of his hat, and wooden antennae were attached to each side. The face had...
See, it's weird that they describe like wooden antenna and things like that. He doesn't sound real like he has like the best tech. It's kind of weird. Just listen to what the description of him. It's so weird.
Had triangular markings for eyes, a brown square of a nose, and motionless yellow lips. Other round markings were on his paper white cheeks, and a fringe of red hair fell onto his forehead. Wooden slats protruded from his sleeves and from below his white trousers. I'll also add to this description to say that his clothes were all torn up and he had bare feet. Each foot had 3 toes to match his 3-fingered hands.
Yeah, I really do think that Stephen King heard this story doing some lines back in the 70s. I don't think that that's even in question at this point. The red hair. So it's like the wooden things is what's throwing me off. It's like, so you think of an alien, right? You think of like high tech gear and whatnot. That they'd have to be more technological advanced than us, right? We've moved well beyond using wood. I don't think wood has ever been used as an antenna. So could the antenna could only be, but like decorative then, right? What other purpose would wood serve?
After retrieving his book from the stream, the figure made a weird hopping motion with his knees raised up high, and he went into a metal windowless hut. The creature then came out of the hut holding what looked like a black microphone with a white cable. The wailing siren-type sound started up again, but this time it was so loud that the children got scared and they ran away. The siren then stopped and a friendly voice called out, "Hello, are you still there?" The voice was coming from the creature talking into the microphone, but although they were quite far away from him at that point, it sounded like he was standing right next to them. I don't know about you, but I probably would have kept running, but then again, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Stranger danger.
Yeah, that's the same way I'm feeling here, brother. I would have booked it. I would have been running even faster when he started like talking to me. I'd be like, "Oh, he saw me! It saw me! It's all over!" There was a time when me and my brother were walking home from school. We had to walk this really dumb route, right? Because the way the crossing guards were. We had to walk a half a mile up the road to cross and then walk all the way back down about 6 miles to get to where my mom worked. And that's where we would wait. And we were walking and somebody pulled up in a minivan and opened the doors and said, "Hey, we know your mom. We want to give you... We know you're walking to her office. And we're going to give you a ride." Me and my brother booked it. We, because we grew up in with this stranger danger kind of stuff, and ran all the way to my to my mom's office. We ran almost the whole way. And when we got to my mom's office, she the people that were in the van were sitting there with her, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you did the right thing. We're sorry we scared you," but it was people that actually knew my mom and stuff. But yeah, so it was like it was we were in this was ingrained in us as children that there were people out there who wanted to snag us and do bad things to us. There were. I remember what's the movie? My Name is Steven that freaking haunted me. Still haunts me to this day. That movie. That poor kid. But that was like a big stigma in my brain growing up, and I imagine anybody else who grew up in that time frame, including our host here, may have had the same experience.
Yeah, made me naturally wary of creepy characters hanging around in the bushes, and that TV adaptation of Stephen King's It put the fear of clowns into me from a young age. And now that I think about it, that Billy Goat's Gruff story probably taught me not to trust anything that emerges from underneath a bridge either. I guess these kids were more trusting. It was the 70s, an absolute golden age for child snatchers. They thought the voice sounded trustworthy. They walked back to the hut with the deformed clown thing standing outside it. The clown took out a notebook and wrote in large letters a series of words that were not written in any intelligible order. The creature pointed to each word in the order that they should be read, and the girl read them out loud. She read out, "Hello, and I am all colours Sam." They came closer and they found that the creature could talk without its microphone, but its speech was muffled, described as being rather like that of a person who does not open their mouth properly. Also, his strange yellow lips didn't move when he spoke.
Yeah, because I don't think that the kids assuming if this really happened and these kids are looking at this, it sounds like this maybe a person in a costume to me, right? Like a weird costume, but a costume nonetheless.
He asked the children questions about themselves, and they asked him questions in return. They asked him about his ripped clothes. He said he only had one set of clothes to wear. They asked him if he was a man. He said no. They asked if he was a ghost. He said, "Well, not really, but I am in an odd sort of way." They asked, "If you aren't a man and you aren't a ghost, what are you?" To this he only replied, "You know."
That was a good special effect there. Did you see that? All they did was take out the face, an image of the face, and switch which direction it was looking and shifted it right at the right time. That was so perfect. I want to watch that again. Where he said, "You know." That was good stuff.
"And you aren't a ghost, what are you?" To this he only replied, "You know." He told the children that he kept himself hidden because he was scared people might attack him. He also said that there were others like him, and he drew a sketch of one of them in his book. Another weird detail is, while all this was going on, there were two workmen fixing a post nearby, and they didn't react at all. It was as if they couldn't see the children or the clown creature. The Sandown clown invited the children into his hut. They entered by crawling through a flap in the side.
Hey, would you follow the Sandown clown into his hut? Let's do a poll. At least do one poll. There you go. Yeah, we can decide how many of you all are these brave children and how many of you are reasonable people.
Inside, the hut was divided into two levels. The walls of the ground floor area were decorated with a blue and green wallpaper covered in a pattern of dials. There was some rudimentary wooden furniture and some kind of electric heater. The upper floor was more cramped and had a metal floor. Once they were inside, the creature removed his hat to reveal round white ears and patchy brown hair. He told the children that he drank water from the stream once he cleaned it, and that he ate berries which he collected in the afternoon. He also ate—
They're going to talk about these berries in just a minute too. This gets really weird, guys. So do you have your popcorn ready? Because this guy, obviously right now, no lips moving, speaks with the microphone, can't hear him, has triangle eyes and 3 toes, and really a weird dude, right? But it's gonna get weirder. Wait till you hear what he's gonna do next.
Indicated that he had a camp on mainland Britain that he would visit sometimes. He then did something extremely strange. He took a berry and put it into his ear. He then thrust his head forward quickly, causing the berry to vanish from his ear and reappear in one of his weird triangular eyes. He then thrust his head forward one more time and the berry appeared in his mouth. The children and the clown chatted for about half an hour before the kids said their goodbyes and exited the hut. They ran across the golf course.
So, like, he's doing, like, tricks for him and stuff, right? So that's, I mean, he really does sound like a clown at that point. Do not drink from that stream or eat those berries. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe these kids ate the berries. What kind of, is there anybody in here from the UK? What kind of poison berries grow on the island of Wight? What kind of berries grow on the island of Wight? Let me know. Somebody, let me know what kind of wild berries are indigenous to that island.
Course back to Lake Common. They told the first adult they met that they'd just seen a ghost. Of course, they were laughed at and sent on their way. Perhaps this is why the girl waited 3 weeks before she told.
I don't know why they would say they saw it. The way the description doesn't sound like a ghost to me. Does it sound like a ghost to you guys? Would you describe what, I don't know, in the 70s and in a different part of the world? You're right. You're right, guys. I'm sorry. Cultural differences are probably at play here. I should be taking that into consideration when I say that they're going to call it, why do they call it a ghost? All right. Back off, guys. Sorry.
Told her father about her experience. Naturally, at first, the father also laughed. He assumed the tale was the result of an overactive imagination, but his daughter was so insistent that it had happened and provided so much detail that he got the feeling that there might be some truth to her story. He sought out the boy who had been with his daughter at the time of the encounter and asked him about the events. He says the boy wasn't as easy to talk to as his daughter, but he did confirm that they had indeed encountered that strange figure, and the details that his daughter had provided were true. Eventually, the man wrote down the story and sent it to the Bufora Journal, the British UFO Research Association journal. It appeared in the January-February issue of 1978. Now, you might be wondering why he decided to contact.
All people in Britain are pale because it doesn't get any sun. You can't get a tan there. Well, I don't know. I guess Island of Wight's on the south, though, right? So you may be able to get some color. I think there's some beaches and stuff down there. I'm not familiar with the. Actually, I feel kind of silly that I didn't even consider investigating the berries when I didn't even consider investigating the berries when I was pulling this up to cover, so I didn't even prepare myself for this part of the investigation, so I am very sorry. Hey Bree, can you do Geff the talking mongoose from the Isle of Man? Oh yes, I can. Yes, I'm familiar with Jeffrey, Jeff the mongoose, talking mongoose. Yes, that's a good idea. We should do that. It's similar to this too, like a one-off kind of weird phenomenon.
The UFO Association in the first place. After all, the children always maintained that the person that they'd met was either a ghost or a man dressed up. Well, in the years leading up to this encounter, the girl's father had seen a number of strange things himself. In October of 1970, 3 years before the Sandown Clown incident, he was driving his car at around 7 p.m. He was going through the village of Brading and then he turned right, heading towards St. Helens. It's hard to tell exactly where he was, looking at...
Okay, thank you, Plastic Jesus. I thought maybe nightshade berries were indigenous. I wasn't sure. So they're Northern European. So... And those berries do look edible, and they do look enticing. But this description doesn't sound like somebody experiencing the throes of deadly nightshade. I think we would probably expect to have some vomiting and fever and stuff like that, right? That's the Barry has $240 worth of pudding. Oh, Barry from the island of White. Yeah, my island of Spookies. Yeah, Spooky's one of the people I lean on for this kind of stuff when I talk. When it comes to flora and fauna of the UK. No, usually I this is something I'm knowing myself. So yeah, let's continue on. See how they investigate this.
Google Maps, because I don't know the area and I don't know how the roads have changed since 1970, but I think it would put him either on Key Lane or Carpenter's Road. He looked to his right in the direction of the River Yar and he saw an enormous craft. He describes it as a ring of about 7 bright red lights, each of them a clearly defined sphere like a cherry. These lights were interspersed with turquoise and white lights.
See, this, and when it comes to this story, it's this girl's dad that kind of makes me question it, because it sounds like maybe they met like a, I don't know, like a traveling, like a vagrant performer or something. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but that the kid's dad, who's really into ufology, kind of ran with it.
He says that the craft was somewhere between the road and Bembridge Downs and was hovering along the banks of the River Yar. So that would put it somewhere around here, only a couple of miles from where the children had had their experience. He stopped his car and watched the craft for a while. Then, as he drove on, it seemed to move.
Did anybody else catch that? Did you guys catch that? Let me rewind it just a little bit. And when he says the word craft, watch the screen very closely.
He stopped his car and watched the craft for a while. Then, as he drove on, it seemed to move with him, staying parallel to his car. As he got close to St. Helens, the craft flew lower to the ground and seemed to shrink. Now there was only 4 lights. Again, he stopped his car and he spent around 10 minutes signalling to the craft with his torch. The object appeared to weave back and forth in response to his signalling. He then drove to his friend's house and his...
I signaled him with my lighter, and in that moment I am happy. Wish you were here.
His friend was also able to see the lights. Later on he drove to Ryde and lost sight of the craft, but ever since that night, on a number of occasions, he would see single red lights in the sky which would hover nearby or follow his car as if they were observing him. In March of 1972 he had another strange experience.
See, these experiences are just kind of tacked on because the person who's reported the original thing, this is her father, so... Go figure. We're going to let them speak their piece, though.
He was at Compton Bay, which is over the other side of the Isle of Wight. It was between 9 and 10 p.m. There was a sudden and unexpected tidal surge that left him trapped on the cliffs. The surge seems to have been caused by something large under the water. The article describes it as a droning underwater craft, which suggests it emitted some sort of noise. The only thing the man could see, though, were 2 yellow lights under the surface of the sea which peered up at him like the eyes of some horrible sea monster.
But that doesn't sound like our friendly clown who's popping berries in his ear and stuff like that. This sounds like something different, right? Like a different phenomena.
It wasn't until the lights disappeared that the tide went out and he was able to escape from the cliffs. He didn't tell his daughter about any of these experiences, so it's interesting that she had her strange encounter with the clown creature not long after this. I'm not sure whether this means they are related in any way, but the proximity of the red lights is at least a strange coincidence. Something else that interests me about this Sandown clown story...
But I wonder if the coincidence of it being reported by the same person is probably more significant, wouldn't you say? That if there's a correlation to be drawn from these incidents, it's not the proximity, because the person who's reporting it only has a certain proximity of their experience, of their lived experience, right? So it's just one person's reporting unusual phenomena, right? Now, in my work as a cryptozoologist, the more outlandish experiences a single individual claims to have had, the less likely it is that their story comports with actual events in the physical world. And I'm not drawing that correlation as a conclusion. I am saying that is a correlation that we see in reported, what they call it, Fortean phenomena. That there are individuals who tend to experience a multitude of supernatural phenomena in their lifetime, or report to experience that. And the likelihood that's a personal experience in that one person's existence, as opposed to something that's happening in physical reality, becomes more and more likely with each consecutive report, with each consecutive interaction. But it's hard to distinguish that from hoaxes, because with hoaxes, you generally start off innocuous. I saw a Bigfoot, right? I saw a Bigfoot. Just to get some attention. I'm not saying that everybody says that they saw a Bigfoot doing that. It's the people who escalated, okay? Oh, well, I saw a Bigfoot in the woods, so I went back the next weekend and left some apples and came back and they were gone. That's the next story. And then, maybe I sat in my car and set the apples out and watched the Bigfoot come get them. And the next thing you know, this person's interacting with a family of Bigfoot in the woods, coming over for dinner and things like that as the story goes on. And the more the more that the story elevates like that, the more likely that it's either a hoax or something that the person is experiencing in their own lived experience and not in physical reality.
Is that it follows the pattern of a classic alien abduction. An encounter with a strange humanoid creature who possesses some sort of futuristic technology. He then takes some humans aboard a metallic...
What was futuristic about this gentleman's technology? He wasn't in a craft. He was in a wooden shed. He didn't have super tech. He had a staticky old microphone. Yeah, maybe those kids were licking toads. Lick the toad. Yeah, when I play that Lick the Toad video, that's what I want to do. I'll know that comes from Joe Cartoon, which is this really vulgar website from my childhood, from Web 1.0 that was used JavaScript. It was just this bizarre bloody sophomore humor thing, but they had these stoned flies. They'd get stoned and say lick the toad and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where that came from.
Craft, or in this case a metal hut. There's an interesting book called Perspectives by John Spencer that talks about this phenomena. He argues that there are so many credible witnesses who report these kind of abductions, and they all follow a similar pattern, but their descriptions of what the creatures and their craft look like seem to conform to whatever the witness expects to see. So if you think aliens look like little grey men, or if you think they look like a 50s sci-fi robot, then that's what you're going to get abducted by.
Oh yeah, by the way, speaking of leaving your apples out, not apples, but I had ordered, this is something funny that happened to me yesterday. I had ordered DoorDash for lunch. I was like, and I'm not usually big on Chinese food, but I'm craving some egg rolls and crab rangoon. So I ordered just egg rolls and crab rangoon, a light lunch, with the soda. Got busy at work, but didn't get to get out there. So it sat out there for about 20 minutes. I went out to get it and opened the door, and only my soda was sitting there. I was like, what the heck? I looked over and I saw the Panda Express bag in the bushes, and I'm like, what the hell? And I walked over there, and the bag was all ripped open, and I looked, and the styrofoam was chewed through. There were big holes in it, and my egg roll was gone. The squirrels stole my egg roll somewhere there is a big fat squirrel out there with his belly full of cabbage and peanut oil that was supposed to be in my belly.
The book goes on to argue that there could be some kind of phenomena that we don't yet understand, something that the human mind can't quite comprehend fully, so when someone encounters it, their brain sort of fills in the gaps with whatever.
This is like something that Lovecraft liked to dabble in, this idea of horror. Well, and then I guess Stephen King rolled that out into his. That's what the creatures of the Toadish Darkness are. And if you haven't watched it, me and Ring, who you see in the side chat here, it's been over a year ago now that we did back when I was trying to see if I couldn't squeeze in a bug media section on the show. But we discussed the Toadash Darkness in Stephen King's universe. All right, so if you haven't seen that, we go into these creatures and their nature pretty in depth. It's on my channel, like way back in the back catalog.
The cultural references they have to try and make sense of it. The phenomena doesn't even need to be extraterrestrial in nature. Who knows, maybe there's some sort of swamp gas or magnetic field that produces a very specific hallucination when...
Yeah, but I'm a pescatarian though. I've been trying to figure out a better way to describe myself than a pescatarian, because I eat some chickens too. I eat birds, so I want to say I'm like what would I call myself? Like a diapsitarian. I'm gonna make that a thing. It's gotta be different, right? Why you gotta be all weird? I'm actually working towards veganism though, so that's probably not a good idea.
When someone is affected by it, it's like how multiple people report seeing the same things when they take DMT. Meeting some sort of godlike entity or the fabled machine elves, but the descriptions of what these entities look like will vary wildly between each experiencer. Of course, the most down-to-earth explanation for the Sandown Clown is that the children fabricated the story. I can imagine a situation where the girl told her father some fanciful story about meeting a strange character, and the father, thinking that it might be linked to the strange lights that he had seen, asks her to go into specifics, and the daughter just keeps adding increasingly elaborate details, enjoying the attention that it brings her. The only thing I would say about this is the child referred to the clown as a ghost, and yet the description doesn't sound anything like a ghost.
That's what I was saying, but and this guy's culturally in the same culture as her, so that can't be the reason why she's called this. It's not cultural why I don't think this should be called a ghost. This guy from the UK is also saying that this doesn't match the description of a ghost in their culture.
If the girl was making up the story, she'd probably have heard plenty of classic ghost stories to draw inspiration from, and yet she invents a weird clown thing with wooden antenna.
I don't know though. Was the concept that was a Victorian ghost? I get that. And Victorian ghost imagery from the UK is very distinct, right? It is the Bob Marley. They are the ones with the. That's where we get the ghost with the death shrouds too, which is where you get the sheet ghost to begin with. That's what that is. It's a death shroud. It's they cover people up when they put them in their crypts, right? So there's a very distinct notion of what a ghost is in Victorian England, but I don't know about the 70s. I don't know much about the UK in the 70s at all.
As I say, she described something much closer to an alien abduction, but she never referred to it as an alien and had no knowledge of her father's UFO sightings. The other possibility, of course, is that the Sandown Clown was just some guy dressed up and hiding in a marshy field for some unknown reason. I don't know why, but I find this explanation the most sinister. I mean, what would a guy be doing out there hiding under a bridge dressed as a clown? Why does he have a microphone?
I don't know if she'd say it was dressed as a clown, right? I think that's a bit of a stretch. Ghost Clown Spooky says, dressed as a clown. I don't think that this costume, that this creature or person, individual, ghost, alien was particular. I think that we're putting clown on it because of what the red hair and white face and the behavior, especially the trick he did with the berries and stuff. That is what gives me the impression that we are applying clown to this, and I don't know that this description of the creature would be if I would be what I would call a clown.
Phone to speak through, and why would he be luring children to his hut with a weird siren noise? The tale suddenly takes on a sleazy aspect. The description of the clown's face now makes me think of a latex fetish mask. Honestly, I'd rather think of it as an alien ghost clown.
A latex fetish mask? I don't get that impression at all. And this isn't what I think of when I think of a latex fetish mask either, but I did say the mouth kind of did sound like a fleshlight.
Than a real human being. I do wonder what happened to the children in this story. I think it'd be about...
But that's because the other thing I read about it referred to him as rubbery lips. Too. Round rubbery lips.
56 by now, so there's a good chance they are still alive and they might be able to shed more light on the story. Unfortunately, the Bufora article keeps...
I actually think Ring did create the spell that brought ghost nuns into existence. I don't think that they meant to. It was a scourge on the Catholic Church that they were trying to cast, but we ended up with ghost nuns. Can't win every time, Ring, but yeah.
Keeps the children and the father anonymous, so I don't think it would be easy to track them down. And if someone came forward to say that they were the children in the article, it'd be hard for them to prove it. And so the story will probably remain a mystery. A weird story that doesn't quite make sense. It's probably got a down-to-earth explanation, but there's enough strange details to keep it turning over in my mind.
Alright, well that's all history.
So, thanks for watching, and thanks as usual to the patrons who are keeping the channel going. I know I usually cover more terrestrial topics, but hopefully you don't mind me doing videos about the weirder stuff like this now and then. So go and check out the Cool Dudes Walking Club channel. As I say, this isn't a collab or anything.
Yeah, go check out that channel as well. His video is pretty gangsta. He's a silly creator, but he does actually go out on the adventure.
If I was taking photos of anything nice, I didn't say
like this.
that I was looking for a massive 7-foot clown alien robot, which is probably a good idea.
Probably a good idea.
Read more comprehensive reports about this sighting.
This is the landscape,
I've put the links I found below in the description, so please have a look at those. Ah, this looks like...
I really like this guy. Trying to make it seem all sinister. I'm afraid this audio is going to get me... Hold on, I'm going to mute that because I'm afraid that audio is going to get me in trouble. I don't know if that's copyright safe. I assume it is because this guy's channel is like 7,000 people. Or I was like 7,000 subscribers. So
I think where they might have encountered the clown. I can't see any evidence of it 49 years later. What a surprise. So let's return back along the golf course and I'll tell you my two spooky stories.
All right, so yeah, it's just a piece. Go check out his video on it too. It's his coverage of it is fun, and he actually goes out and visits the location of the Sandown clown sighting. Here we go. All right, so what do you guys think? It sounds like most of you all are living on the safe side, as Baby Bree was, and then a lot of it, and then 45% of you are living dangerously, like I did when I was a teenager, and would have followed this dude into a sewer to try to figure out what he was, because I was obsessed from 2004 to about 2011 with trying to have a supernatural experience, to know that there's something out there. I got jaded after my dad died about that too. That's a story for another day though. So thank you all for joining me in live from the Hive's Cryptic Corner. And it's Friday night, so join us for Live from the Hive, live tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. live. It's in the name, but obviously this isn't live. But thank you for popping in and hanging out with us. Please remember to hit the like button and the bell notification for more Cryptic Corner videos like this one. We cover all sorts of fun topics, from mystery big cats to alien clowns. So I appreciate you. Please remember to be kind, take care, and we will see you next time. All right, so thank you so much, live from the Hive audience, for sticking with me here. I know we had a lot of tech stuff going on at the beginning of the video, so thank you so much with the storm and everything, for sticking with me and for coming back. I really do appreciate it. We will be moving into CreationWatch now, so I will see you guys over there. Hey, and welcome to CreationWatch, where we are going to explore alternative means to the origin of our existence and what that entails. We cover a lot of things from on here, young Earth creationism and flat Earth being prominent among those. Last week we covered electric universe as well, so we do have kind of a varied uh, uh, platform that we can pick from here, and we've covered all the Abrahamic stuff ad nauseum. Right, the only thing I really haven't dove into too much was anything with from the Muslim sphere, but I will get there eventually. Not today, though we are going to be bouncing all over the globe with this one because this is allegedly universal. I want you guys to meet Mr. Praveen Mohan. I don't know if you know his channel or know who he is, but that is who we are going to be hanging out with today. And he's going to talk to us about ancient reptile worship. Yeah, the secret of the lizard gods. I was so excited when I found this. D D was the first person I shouldn't say D. It was in the swarm on Twitter. So D was the first person I poked about this and said, hey, let's check this out. So we are going to have Praveen break it down to us. He's kind of like a neutral player in this. He presents the conspiracy, but I don't think he espouses any specific position on it. If he does, yeah, we'll find out. But I watched this through while I was working, so I'm in and out a little bit on the substance. But let's see what he has to say. I would love to be able to go there and see this temple. I'd love to go to India or anywhere in the old world for that matters, but especially like India and the Middle East, where I could see where human people, where all of our ancestors, and where everybody passed through the Levant, for unless you're of sub-Saharan African descent. So seeing where our civilization began. I mean, obviously, I'd love to go to Africa too, but I think the ruins that you see there and some of the early man stuff has been there's not as I guess it's not as well preserved, and it's been that long. But anyway, let's go on. Mm-hmm. What? Oh my gosh, did you hear the name of the temple? Because I'm not going to be repeating it.
Devotees lining up to touch and worship a carving of a lizard. Actually, there are two lizards here. One is a giant golden lizard, and the other one is a smaller silver lizard. Today, they've
It sounds better now, right?
Engravings covering the ancient stone carvings behind them.
Yeah.
Worshipping lizards is not a recent practice. The name of this temple is Varadaraja Perumal Temple, and it was built in the 3rd century AD. So this worship started at least one.
I guess that computer crash reset all my pre-audio settings too on all my tabs. I should have went through and reset them all. My bad. I'm going to be dropping the ball. Yeah. There's polished stone underneath it. Yeah, there's
worshipping lizards is not a recent practice. The name of this temple is Varadaraja Perumal Temple, and it was built in the 3rd century AD. So this worship started at least 1,000 years ago. Ancient Indians believed that lizards and other reptile-like beings came from the sky and
So to me, does that look like a lizard to you? That looks like a monkey to me. Its face is short. Its tail is not like tapered. I don't see any well, both. See, that's the problem here. Both a monkey and a lizard would have I guess thumbs on their feet. This looks like a monkey to me. That's my opinion. This doesn't look like a lizard. Not to say that there's not lizards on this temple, but I just don't think this is one.
Had magical powers like shape-shifting. Even today, you can see that Hindus believe that these...
I'm not an archaeologist or historian for Hindu culture, so I'm not saying that I know for sure that's a monkey. I'm just saying what it looks like to me that they were trying to depict was a monkey. Lizard monkey, maybe?
Lizards can help them heal from their diseases and bring them good fortune. But this is not the only Indian temple where lizards are worshipped as gods. There is another temple called Balligiri where there is another lizard engraving on a piece of metal. In this temple too, it is worshipped as a god of good fortune. But this is strange, right? Even if you're a Hindu, you are probably surprised that lizards are still worshipped as gods.
Oh, I see my fiance showed up in the side chat finally. Dr. Tapioca Weasel. We are getting married, so that can be I will be Brie Vandergraaf. That'll be awesome. And also Dr. Tapioca Weasel's hot. Have you seen him? Could you imagine? Coming home to that. But yeah, it's good to see you, babe. Good morning. You missed the Sandown Clown, though. It was really weird. It was, so if you get a chance to pop back and just watch a little bit of it just to see what it looked like, I want you to see it because I think it was super bizarre. Probably, would you guys say the Sandown Clown is one of the weirdest things that we've covered on Cryptic Corner so far? It's pretty out there.
Because I'm showing you a very rare phenomenon. But why are they worshipped as gods? Because lizards have a third eye. Yes, they physically have a third...
Sort of. It's an ocellate. An ocellate is kind of like an eye. It's a photoreceptor cell. I shouldn't say it's kind of like an eye. It is an eye. It's a specific type of eye that is different than what we have, which is called a camera eye. And what the lizard has is camera eyes too. Ocelli are what like when you look really close at like a praying mantis or a wasp, and they have 3 little eyes in the top middle of their head. Those are ocelli, and they pick up. They don't pick up any color or anything, just shadow and movement.
Third eye called the parietal eye, and many times it is located exactly where you want it to be located.
Well, so to transpose this onto a human is a correlation to the third eye. I would expect it to be up here where these scale patches are. If you're talking about like the supernatural third eye, like the chakra point and stuff, I would expect right here. This would be more like where when you're talking about chakras and stuff, this would be like the crown chakra, in my opinion. This correlation of the anatomy, right? This would be more relative to the crown chakra than it would for the parietal eye, or what are the parietal chakra.
Yes, on the forehead between the 2 eyes, very similar to the third eye depiction in Hinduism. And not only does it look like
See, I would think, again, more up here, because that's the crown of the head, in my opinion. Yeah, I think the parietal eye and diapsids is in a different location than the parietal eye. I think that they're shifted up and ours shifted down and then kind of vanish. You still have that good pineal gland back there, though, that used to run all that sensory stuff and help you know when to go to sleep and wake up. But now it's just rewired to a atomic clock system in your body. But you can't like change your senses by covering it up anymore, like your sense of night and day. We totally lost that. But ours was our ancestors that moved down, and then diapsids that moved up to the crown, so that they could, because they're the way that they have to lay, because they're ectothermic, right? So they have to lay with their stomach pressed against the ground. So having that to tell them which way the sun is and which way the sun's moving is important. Having it like facing directly up, so they can adjust their body to maintain the homeostasis with their body temperature.
an eye. In some lizards, like the tuatara, it also
He just
has
did it.
a lens,
That's an
cornea,
unforgivable
and
sin.
a retina like
Did you
the
guys hear that?
tuatara. It
Oh, he said
also
it.
has,
I made him.
and not only does it look like an eye, in some lizards, like the tuatara,
No, stop saying that. The tuatara is not a lizard. Totally different group. Tuataras diverged from lizards. If you call a tuatara a lizard and you don't call then you need to, you don't call a snake a lizard, right? Ring. I know. Vent for me. Will you scream? Because I've got a microphone in front of me, so I can't scream into the void about it. But could you? Because this is a thing that, yeah. But I'm not going to bash on Praveen too much. He's not a biologist or anything. But presenting it as if this is something present in lizards that were in India. A tuatara is a very distinct group of lepidosaurs that lived in Gondwanaland and only have descendants currently in New Zealand. But they used to be pretty prevalent everywhere. New Zealand, they could survive a little bit cooler temperatures than lizards, so they were able to carve out a little niche for themselves in that same ecological niche in New Zealand, where it's a little bit cooler, but not in India, not where these temples are. So we can't compare what a tuatara has to what lizards have in that little peak of their head there.
it also has a lens, cornea, and a retina like an actual eye.
Yes, that's the difference between the tuatara. As I was saying, the lizards have more like an ocelli that just tells them light, dark, and movement. Tuataras, it's actually like an eye. It actually can pick up. It actually picks up like color and movement, like with focus and such. It's not a good eye. It's a poor eye, but it is like a real camera eye. The retina is, look at and you've seen this. This is explaining that the retina is a little bit different.
Scientists now confirm that this third eye can not only sense light, it can also be used as a GPS navigation system. And guess what? It is part of the pineal complex, meaning it functions with the pineal gland. Some claim that
I just wanted to. That was the part that made me say yes. I have to go to this video so I can do a fake outrage about the tuatara thing. That was the whole point of covering this video. We can move on now. Oh, you're in for a treat learning about them because they're really weird and they're holdover from they've been there like since the Cretaceous. Yeah, do lizards look like everything looked like that back when we first started. We even looked like that, and then for a while we looked like that but furry. Yeah, look at a monotreme, right, with their legs on the sides and everything, like and then you look at like a lizard, right? Our therapsid ancestors were very very lizard-like.
That in ancient India, a type of lizard people or lizard gods existed, and they coexisted with humans. These reptiles were quite sophisticated, and they even assisted some kings in war. In this ancient temple, you can see a battle scene. Here is a soldier on a horse wielding his sword. At the bottom, there is another man with a sword in one hand and a shield in the other hand. But what is that scaly thing next to him? Look at its skin. You are immediately reminded of a crocodile, but it is standing on two legs, and see what it's about to do. It's about to bite a man's head off alive. Look at the size of the lizard and the size.
Let's pause this for a minute. I want to look at this creature. Okay, so I like trying to figure out what statues and stuff are supposed to be. I'm thinking this is fanciful depiction. I do think it's a lizard. I think it's a fanciful lizard. I don't know if it's necessarily supposed to be depicted as biped as much as it's supposed to be depicted as mauling the sky, though. Could be a crocodile, but this right here, well, I want to think it's supposed to depict a big varanid, like a Komodo, not a Komodo dragon, because they don't live in India, but there are big varanids in the Indian subcontinent. I want to think that it's a varanid, or the depiction of a varanid. Maybe this could be a story about them moving into an area. All right, I'll hydrate. Oh shoot, where's my water bottle? Hold on. Got it. Thank you, Bugbot. Love you. A dragon ate my face. That's the name of the statue. So,
of the human, the lizard being, is quite large.
Oh, another angle. Yeah, it's seeing this, it makes me think even more that it's not supposed to be depicted as a biped. Look at this leg. This is the hind leg. Folded back, so this animal's hind leg is digigrade. So most bipeds are plantigrade. I mean, well, shouldn't say that because diapsids are not. And diapsids, most bipeds are digigrade. In mammals, though, like they're talking about like lizard people, you'd expect plantigrade feet. But the difference between plantigrade and digigrade is what touches the ground. Plantigrades walk like, or digigrades walk like this. We are not digigrades. Like if you stood on your tiptoes, you'd be digigrade. Birds walk on their toes like that. Dogs do. But we walk like this, with our whole foot on the ground. This organism, because of the structure, and it's the distance between it's the tarsals. And now that I'm showing you my hand, so that's going to be carpals are going to be the correlation here. But the way that the tarsals are elongated will tell you if it's digigrade or plantigrade. With plantigrade, they tend to be foreshortened. The whole section coming in contact with the ground. I'm sorry, I'm going on science rants, but that's what I'm here to do. Is I lure you in with promises of lizard people, and then I teach you animal biology. So, I hope I feel like I lured you in under false pretenses, but yes, I'm going to teach you science. You have to appreciate the total lack of nuance in with which Praveen Mohan speaks about pretty much everything, just drawing conclusions and making connections on assumptions and heresy. Okay, yeah, I only watched a few of his videos. I thought I thought he was more neutral than this when I was listening at work, but as I go through this and hear his assertions like about this and stuff, I'm starting to say, yeah, Praveen, I don't think that this is a biped. I think this is a quadruped mauling people. Yeah.
It is taking out one man with a single bite and is handling another man with its
Yeah, and it could be a conquest story too, where they moved into an area where there were where there were big lizards that they like. Yeah, he said, where Ring said Indonesia. It could be an Indonesian conquest, talking about the big lizards that they ran into and stuff.
claws. There are no such giant lizards today, and what I find interesting is that its third eye is covered with a religious symbol called Urdhva Pundra. This symbol is also worn by Lord Vishnu and his
I'll take your word for it that that's what that is.
followers, clearly indicating that this lizard is not just some random animal.
Because it looked to me, concentric stripes don't really. I'm not convinced that it is correlated, because there's and especially when it's just two concentric stripes, one inside of the other, a white stripe with a red stripe over it, or as the statue would be, it would just be a gray stripe with a gray stripe over it. So I'm not willing to say that that's a direct relation that Praveen's presenting here, but I will be charitable enough to say that maybe an archaeologist has looked into it and confirmed that that's what's supposed to be depicted there. I will grant that, because I don't know the history of the statue as much as Praveen may have specifically, but a citation would be nice.
But rather a divine lizard person. Indian texts talk about a lizard called Indriga who could shapeshift into a human whenever he wanted. They also mention that he could change his skin color like a chameleon and blend with the surroundings. According to some, he was also capable of walking on water.
It's funny though, because they talk about some of the features that they're talking about are not just unique to lizards. You know, it's like, oh, these are lizard features. These are iguanid features, right? These are the changing color is an iguanid feature. The walking on water is an iguanid feature. And when I say iguanid, it's not just, I'm not just talking about iguanas. When you think of like a standard lizard, that's what it is, an iguanid. It's chameleons, iguanas, basilisk lizards, anoles. The standard model lizard is the iguanid. The ones that have specialized feet that can allow them to run on water are iguanids. The ones that change colors with the chromatophoric, I don't think they're chromatophores. I think they are, what are they called? Chromatophores are what octopi have. Octopodes have. Anyway, I don't want to mislabel it. So the skin cells that change color, that's a feature of iguanids, right? Even iguanas, green iguanas have that. You can like grab a green iguana and hold it in your hands for 15 minutes and move your fingers away, and you'll see where your fingers were. There'll be dark patches because their skin gets darker to absorb the heat when there's heat touching them. That is the same process by which chameleons have, which are another group within this, they're nested within this group, have further adapted to go through a more varied spectrum of color than just the dark to light. So if you think about it, it's pigment cells that were evolved to get darker to absorb more heat, right? And then over generations, different scale patterns evolved to be over top of it with prism-like qualities that with the changes in the way that the color is projected, the iguanids can literally change through a whole spectrum of colors like you see in chameleons and some other related species. All right, I'm done with my is chromatophores the right term? I wanted to say that, but I thought that was specific to octopods. I keep saying octopods, octopodes. So thank you, Ring, for clarifying on that for me.
It's really interesting because some lizards can walk on water. In the Americas, the basilisk is more commonly known as the Jesus Christ lizard because it can walk on water. In India, there are...
Now this is definitely a lizard. I have no doubt that this statue is a lizard. Lizards can grow beards, but you can't, native atheist. I'm sorry. Maybe what can happen is when you pass in this life, your all the electronic energies and everything that dissipates from you in your body that returns into the soil of the earth will find their way into a freaking wonderful bearded dragon somewhere that's living its best life. I really hope that every piece of you ends up in a bearded dragon of some form. There, native atheist. That's what I hope for you. It's not really reincarnation, but it's the closest thing a Gaianist has for, or Lovelockian Gaianist have. There's no afterlife, but you can rest assured that you will be reprocessed back into the machine and used to make new tools within.
Many temples which have carvings of lizards. The famous Brihadiswara temple also has a carving of a giant lizard. These carvings are usually placed in unusual locations and 99% of visitors will not see them. However, if you analyze any ancient Hindu temple...
Oh, this is the one we thought was a monkey earlier. Okay, let's have a look at it. Now, the tail, I've seen it from this angle. The tail does look thicker at the base, and it does look like it tapers more, so it does look more reptilian at this angle. I don't know if that's because the sculpt they have to sculpt it where the tail meets they had like fill in this space. Like, you're not meant to see this, but there's like the tail's supposed to run
carefully. You can almost definitely see at least one carving of a lizard. According to some Hindus,
wait till this guy sees a gift shop in Arizona. Lizards out the wazoo. Every gecko keychain and wallet that you can think of.
Golden lizard descended from the sun. Its skin was golden like the sun, and it was immortal. Humans initially tried to kill this lizard by throwing it in fire, but it did not die because it was made of fire itself.
Ooh, now we're going to get into a whole different concept, guys. This is beyond, I think this goes beyond Indian tradition, and we start to move west from here in what we are, what we're going to explore.
Seems like a fancy folklore spun by some locals of South India, right? Strangely enough, the same beliefs existed more than 4,000 miles away. The famous Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris is known for its unexplored secrets.
This is another piece of history for you guys. Today is the anniversary of the fire in Notre Dame. Also, for those of you keeping score, today is the anniversary of the sinking of probably the most famous ship sinking of all time. Can anybody tell me what the name of that ship was? Sank on April 15th. Anybody know? Tell me in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. Today is oh my gosh! Today is a anniversary of disasters. That's why the power went out when my stream started. That's why I keep getting muted. That's why everything reset. So
99% of visitors would never notice this relief carving. A woman holds a flaming disk
Spooky winds.
resembling the sun, and inside you can see a lizard. The lizard is shown emitting flames of fire.
This is not a lizard. This is a salamander. Praveen is incorrect about this organism, and there's actually literature about this creature, and it's rooted in mostly like Southern European folklore, because when they would bring their lumber in for the winter, salamanders would that's where they overwinter at, right? So they would be overwintering in these logs, sleeping for months and months, and in the middle of winter they'd throw the log into the fire, right? And suddenly in amphibians, salamanders and frogs have like this unique weird response to heat and cold. That's why we have our antidote about putting a frog in a boiling pot of water, right? If you put them into the boiling pot of water, they'll jump. Now there's that thought experiment is problematic in and of itself, because when actually it doesn't work in practice. The frog's not going to sit in the water until it starts boiling. Generally speaking, they have a better heat response to that than that, but not a good one. Not a good one like the rest of the vertebrates crawling around on Earth. Theirs is much more primitive because they're more aquatic. So the salamanders would literally crawl out of the burning logs and just sit there on top of the logs as they burned around them. So they thought that these lizards were, they thought they were lizards first. They didn't know they were salamanders, but they thought these lizards were born from burning these logs.
Fire, and is shown with all its body parts, indicating that it is resistant to fire. In ancient and medieval Europe, you can find many manuscripts showing the same detail.
Yeah, so and they became because of this phenomena that happens, it became the symbol of like the fire element, because we had our old elemental system, right, with earth, air, water. Well, that's very. He's talking about Europe right now, so that's very very European centric. Earth, air, fire, water, and the salamander was often the fire element because of that, along with other fiery creatures like the phoenix, for instance. But the salamander is a very popular one, and in like neo-pagan cultures, I used to run with a lot of neo-pagan people. The salamander is often used as the representation of the element of fire when they're doing their circles and all that stuff.
Okay. A lizard unharmed by fire. Is it possible that such fire-resistant lizards existed in ancient times? Why else would an
They exist still now. They're not lizards, though. They're amphibians, and they're not fire resistant. And that's the funny thing about them, too, is that the folklore was that when the fire went out that they died. But generally speaking, they cooked, and their corpse was sitting in the fire. And when the fire went out, they found the corpse, right?
50-year-old cathedral in France.
And I'm sure sometimes they came skittering out of there pretty fast and maybe leaving a little burning trail behind them. I'm sure that was terrifying. And maybe sometimes it was lizards, but most of the time it was salamanders. Let's see. I live on the edge of Karst Plateau. Caves everywhere, which means we get to see cave salamanders once in a while. Neat little creatures. I love salamanders. That is another thing that we had when I was a kid. We had a tank with salamanders in it. Yeah, my dad liked herps, so he let us have a lot of herps. He didn't like snakes, though. My dad was terrified of snakes.
Put a flaming lizard in an unnoticeable location. Less than 2 miles away from this cathedral, there is a majestic bridge called the Pont Alexandre III. Inaugurated in 1900, This bridge is only
Right.
123 years old, but is filled with figures of ancient gods and goddesses like the Nereids. But in a remote part of the bridge, a golden lizard sits majestically in a corner.
Ooh, I actually like that one. That's definitely supposed to be a Varanid, though, right? I mean, that looks like a Varanid to me. So besides its tails for short, but that's the nature of sculpting with gold in a statue cast. But
waiting to be
say
spotted.
sculpting, casting in gold. Ooh, it's well done.
And worshipped.
I don't know why.
Coincidence? But there's more evidence that lizard worship is practiced in the United States, not by
Oh,
Native
boy.
Americans or something like that, but by presidents and governors.
Here we go. I didn't even get my foil hat out. We're about to go deep on it.
and other elite people. In the year 2000, on July 15th, radio host Alex
We're
Jones
not doing that
and
here,
his
Native
cameraman
Atheist.
used
Love you,
hidden
babe.
cameras and filmed a secret ceremony attended by elite Americans in a restricted place called the Bohemian Grove. The ceremony was conducted in front of a 40-foot tall owl statue, and Alex Jones published the details. 1,800
shoot,
year
I
old
lost my place.
temple.
Damn
And
it,
you
where
can
was
see
I?
not by Native Americans or something like that, but by presidents and governors
Yeah, I was trying to.
and other elite people. In the year 2000,
Okay, here we go. That's what I
on
was looking
July
for. So, Alex Jones. Who are these guys?
15th, radio host Alex Jones and his cameraman used hidden cameras and filmed a secret ceremony attended by elite Americans
Good old InfoWars.
in a restricted place called the Bohemian Grove. The ceremony was conducted in front of a
Okay.
40-foot tall owl statue, and Alex Jones published the details as a documentary. In an interview, Alex Jones called it a mystery religion ceremony and claimed that U.S. presidents like Richard Nixon were
So this is, and we've talked about this before a bit. That these mystery cults and stuff like that, they're not really, they're secret societies. Really, is all the. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and all the evidence I've seen, there's nothing like supernatural about them. Right? It's just like a frat party, right? Like a bunch of frat boys doing ceremonies in their robes.
worshipped a lizard god. Not only is this
Yeah, I don't know how they didn't see the light from his crack pipe didn't give him away, right? Alex Jones.
documentary banned on social media. Alex Jones himself is banned on all social media platforms, including YouTube and Twitter. In the US, it's widely believed that many of the world's richest are not humans. They are secretly lizards. The internet is full of these lizard person
Obviously,
memes.
Mark Zuckerberg is the go-to lizard person, right? And I think he leans into it for people. He's like, yeah, nope, I'm not a lizard. And then acts weird. Like, look at that. Waiting for a forked tongue to dip down into the water for a drink. Of course, Mike Pence is a lizard person. He wasn't a lizard person before the insurrection thing, though. Now he
In
is.
a live Q&A session, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg had to clarify that he's not a lizard. In another discussion, he accidentally slipped up and said he was a human in the past. Watch these clips.
When you do these live Q&As, some of them are very silly. So we got one. Mark, are the allegations true that you are secretly a lizard? I'm gonna have to go with no on that. I am not a lizard.
Because you're human, and I was human. I am human still. But I was.
It's I would believe that Mark Zuckerberg is a drone clone of some kind before I believe he was a lizard. There's certain qualifications you have to be a lizard. A lizard is not an overarching term. There has to be certain qualities, but I digress.
Just referring to myself in the past. Not that I was not human.
Katy Perry's glitch video became viral after one of her eyes kept closing, and apparently she had to press a button on the side to open it.
This is ridiculous. For all my girls that wear lashes or have worn lashes, you all know what's happening here, right? We all know that, you know, when your lash, and I use magnetic lashes now. Thank you, Jenna. I love you, Jenna. Turned me on to magnetic lashes, and they changed my life. But when you're doing performance and stuff, magnetic lashes don't do the trick, and you have to use the glue-on type, especially the big ones like Katy Perry wears. And that glue is icky and sticky, and it will lock your eye shut. You can see her lash right there coming off. You can see it, that it's reacting, that it's the glue. It's the glue sticking. And all she did was pull her skin, like just give it a little bump so that it broke the seal.
Jeff Bezos was caught eating a lizard, and the memes about him being a lizard eating its own kind.
That does look disgusting, I'm not going to lie. Not to say I wouldn't eat iguana, I just wouldn't eat like just a cooked dead iguana on a table. I would maybe have cuts of iguana meat, and I would eat them. Yeah, her. I don't think it didn't look. I don't think Praveen did it. Someone edited the footage to make it look like it happened really slow, but she really just blinked and it got stuck, and then she went like that and fixed it. It was just for like 3 seconds. She blinked and the glue got stuck, and she was like, you know, she was doing it, and she finally went when she realized she wasn't going to be able to get it pulled open with just the muscle in her eyelids. It really happened, but not in the way that they're showing it there. Yeah, I wouldn't eat an iguana in this condition. Not to say I wouldn't eat an iguana.
Mind exploded. These beliefs have become so widespread that when you search Jeff Bezos lizard, YouTube has to display a fact check that these are false claims. Why are these rich and powerful people associated?
Yeah, if I make a video and I put that it's about flat Earth in my video, there will be a disclaimer under my video in like a Wikipedia link that explains what flat Earth is all about and how it's a hoax. Hey, Killed by Bigfoot, it's been so long since I've seen you in the chat. It's good to, I know that you do lurk and listen even when you don't engage. So I love you, babe. Thank you for sticking around. We're in lizard people right now, but you missed the Sandown Clown. We're going to get more down to earth here in just a little bit, though, as soon as we let Praveen finish with his discussion here. Yes, look at that. We have, there's the flat Earth, Jason Jacoby, right underneath its dome. I think, we don't have a, maybe I do need, that's maybe my next one. I might do a Sandown Clown, for my next, emoji. Do you all want a Sandown Clown, or do you want, maybe a lizard person?
With lizards and reptiles. While these recent trends and memes make us think about the connection between lizards and humans, ancient builders around the world all worshipped reptiles without a doubt. In Africa, they worshipped a figure called Nomoli. Hundreds of these ancient statues.
That's Pyramid Head from Silent Hill.
Have been found, and they're clearly lizard-like beings.
Not really, though. Not really. I don't know anything about that particular statue. I just thought it looked like Pyramid Head. Don't want to give anybody the impression that I really think that was supposed to be Pyramid Head.
beings with large bulgy eyes and scaly skin. Some of the Nomoli statues look human from the front, but at the back they have a lizard attached to them, indicating that these are secretly reptiles.
No, I would love it if there was, if this is like what was that series where they had the demons? the word animals. Like everybody had like a reptile that sat on their shoulder and guided them through lives. Lizard person is a slur. We prefer Silurians. Silurians, yes, I like that term. We're gonna go with it. What are the lizard people? What are the Silurians from Star Trek called? I can't remember. The Gorn, I think. Yeah, Gorner are like. I would like to see more Gorn, or maybe even a Gorn series.
Posing as humans. But the mystery only gets deeper. Is it possible?
See, that's the thing too, Sandy. There is already a lizard emoji, or so I don't know what I would do. I got some different ideas for different emojis as the channel grows. I think I could make some new ones right now and put them up. I just haven't got around to it yet.
That the very first god that humans worshipped was a lizard. Why do I say this? The oldest archaeological site as we know today.
No, I'm going to clarify Praveen and correct him right now. The first thing ever worshipped was a curvy mommy. And if you watch my loading screen, the curvy mommy flies across there because I love a curvy mommy. And I'm not gonna live in shame about it. So that's the first thing that we worship. So maybe lizards came next.
Is called Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. It is said to be about 12,000 years.
There are definitely goddess figures that are older than Göbekli Tepe. I'm not going to try it. Göbekli Tepe.
Old. And what do we find here? A strange carving of a giant lizard perched upside down on a wall.
I'm turning my head to try to see it. Okay, I can accept that that's a lizard. I would also believe if that's what the archaeologists say it is, because they know more about how this stylized depiction is presented. But to me, I would say it does look very Therapsid-like as well. So there's that. Yeah, Göbekli Tepe.
Most people think that, yes, this is a lizard because mammals cannot stand on a wall upside down, and you can see a smaller mammal below standing in a
so they do think it's a Therapsid, and you think it's a lizard. Okay, just to make sure that's clear.
Normal position. It is probably a pig or a boar. Compare the size of the lizard. It is much, much larger.
I don't know. The more I look at it, the more angles you show it, this animal at, the more I'm thinking it's a felid. Or at least a Therapsid. I just can't help but think that, looking at it. I'm going to count the toes, though. Of course, that's not any, because it's stylized, right? But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 toes on the front paw, or front foot. 2, 3. Maybe 4 toes on the back foot. So, yes, curvy mommies, cat girls, femboys. Brie has varied taste, thinks a lot of people are super sexy and they should feel good about themselves and those sexy, sexy bodies. Most adults have sexy bodies when put into the right context, right? So, I'm here for it. Be sexy, people.
Than this mammal. Of all animals, why did ancient builders choose to carve a giant lizard 12,000 years ago? How are...
Yeah, Aunt Jur is absolutely right. Cats cannot climb down in that direction. That is why you have to call the fire department once they get themselves up there. I have no idea how people like you and Aaron are able to remember all these different genera and whatnot. I can barely remember zebras aren't horses. Well, it depends on what you mean by horses, though, right?
Are reptiles and humans connected? Did lizard-like beings exist in the past? Is it possible
Well, lizards definitely did. Big ones, too.
that they still exist today? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I am Praveen Mohan. Thanks a lot for watching.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, so, again, Praveen Mohan, he's pretty big. He's got 1.7 million subscribers on his channel. So, if you like going over, like, here we go. Here's some, the sacred monks and stuff like this. If you like this ridiculous forbidden history, that's what this guy does. But if you want to see debunking forbidden history crap, come to my channel, especially tomorrow when I have the one and only Pat Lauinger on to discuss the. Pat's not out here either. It's a secret, so don't tell Pat. Same thing I did with Megan a couple weeks ago with Megan Lewis. We're not telling them that what I'm going to show them and what I'm going to make them listen to. We are doing ancient stonework or stone structures in America, in the Americas. It's gonna be a wild ride. So if this is the kind of stuff you like seeing here in the Hive, this is what we're doing on What's the Buzz tomorrow with Pat Lauinger at, I hope I'm saying, is it Lowinger or Lowinger? I can never remember, and I always feel like I'm saying it wrong. Ring says that was a leopard in that depiction. Yeah, I knew it was Therapsid, or I thought it was Therapsid. Yeah, I agree with Jur that generally cats don't do that, but I've seen leopards go down a tree like that and attack something and actually do exactly what that leopard was doing. I have a video of it where one was in a tree and jumped down onto a cattle. I think maybe that was what was supposed to be depicted there. Anyway, well, we can even consider tomorrow a continuation of this for our ancient archaeology. I really like having these scholars and people who actually work in the field on to go to watch people make false claims about what they do for a living. That is one of my favorite things that I've been doing on this platform lately. So if you like that, stick around. But we're gonna call that for CreationWatch today. For those of you guys watching this Wednesday night, thank you so much for joining us here. Please remember to be kind, take care, and watch out for the lizard people. Now, everybody else sticking around with me live from the Hive, thank you for hanging out with me for CryptoCorner, where we had the Sandown Clown, and for this wild ride of the lizard worship religion. So that's been a great time. Now we're going to move on to, I actually have a double feature for us today too for our HiveScience. So we have both strange science and eco news. Stick around. I'll see you guys over there in just a bit. Hello, my beauties and bees, and welcome to Strange Science. Just a short and sweet, silly one for Strange Science this morning because someone's asking the big questions on the internet, and we need to. There's Gurr. Talk about the damn monsters. Yeah, we already talked about the monsters. We have the sand down clown and lizard people, girl. What more do you want from me? But we're asking the big questions today. Like I said, do bees have knees? Right? This is important science that we do here. Me and Sandy are doing a science experiment too before I read this, because we're trying to determine if Japanese maples are the best trees to determine if the final frost of the year has come through. If there are leaves, my hypothesis that I have proposed is that if the Japanese maples have leaves on their branches, then there is going to be no more frost. That's the proposition. Obviously, there are ways to falsify this, so it's going to be a years-long experiment. Yeah, this is it's just a hypothesis, and me and Sandy are on opposite sides of it, thinking that she thinks maybe they aren't a good measure, and I think that they probably are, and we're gonna explore. But there's nothing to do with the topic at hand. I just like to tell you that we do real science around here at HiveSci. It's a real ongoing experiment. We have, as you can see, a whole plethora of micro ecosystems. All right. But do bees have knees? Bees do have a femur and a tibia, but they do not have a kneecap like ours. If anyone ever called you the bee's knees, take it as a compliment. The phrase dates back to the 1920s and describes a highly admired person or thing, according to Merriam-Webster's dictionary. I think my hive is the bee's knees. I'm using it in a sentence so you understand what it's meant to say. All right. But have you ever really stopped to imagine a bee with knees? Do bees, and other insects for that matter, even have knees? First, let's consider the knee we know best, our own. The human knee is a complicated structure. It includes 3 bones: the femur, thigh bone, the tibia, the shin bone, and the patella, the kneecap. That's the important one here. But it's not just bones. An assortment of cartilage, ligaments, and tendons, with the help of lubricants, all work in sync to help you straighten and bend your leg at the knee. Many other animals, such as birds and mammals, and some reptiles, also have kneecaps. Bees' legs have 5 segments: the coxa, the trochanter, the femur, the tibia, and the tarsus. Bees and their fellow insects, on the other hand, do not have bones in the sense that other animals do. They have exoskeleton, like unlike vertebrates, which have the hard skeleton that holds up their squishy outside. Bees and insects are the opposite. A bee's skeleton or exoskeleton is on the outside. The exoskeleton is made of a tough material called chitin to protect the internal softer parts. But similar to the legs of humans and other legged animals, bees' legs are made up of distinct segments. According to Ramesh Sigili, a bee researcher at Oregon State University, bee legs are divided into 5 parts. Starting closest to the body, they are the coxa, the trochanter, the femur, the tibia, and the tarsus. In between the femur and the tibia, is there a knee like ours? The answer is no, according to Sigili. There will be a chitin joint between each of these segments, Sigili told HiveScience. Bees have 6 segments on their legs, and they're all joined together. Rather than a jumble of tendons, ligaments, and kneecap, bees have a simple ball and socket joint between their leg segments, Sagilli said. Those joints help bees move their legs, groom themselves, dislodge pollen, or dance to show their hive mates where to find nectar-filled flowers. In the early 20th century, before its evolution into a compliment, people used the phrase bee's knees to describe something that doesn't exist. And they were right. So while bees don't have the same knees we do, they still have a joint between their tibia and femur that allow them flexibility. Yeah. So it's a ball and socket joint as opposed to, what we have is a hinged joint. So yeah, that was by Joanne Wendell. Just a funny little article about the bee's knees for our little bizarre science today, our bizarre science segment today in Strange Science. So thank you for joining me for that, and please remember to be kind and take care, and we will see you next time. All right, and then the last segment I want to cover here is going to be a city-sized patch of fallen trees is piling up in the Arctic, in Arctic Canada, or Canadian Arctic is what I was trying to say in my head. Some of the trees of this world's largest log jam may be thousands of years old. Let's check this out. Pretty wild stuff here. Deep in the Canadian Arctic, you can find a 51 square kilometer, 20 square mile pileup of fallen trees and ancient wood. Scientists have recently mapped this wood pile up, the largest log jam in the world, and believe it's likely to be having a massively underappreciated impact on our planet's carbon cycle. The pileup is located at the Mackenzie River Delta in Nunavut, the large and most northern territory of Canada. In a new study, scientists at Colorado State University used high-resolution satellite imagery and deep learning artificial intelligence to map the vast wood deposit. Altogether, it's almost as large as Manhattan, but it can be broken down into 4,000 miniature caches of wood, the largest of which covers around 20 American football fields. Trees act as a carbon sink for the planet, sucking up carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and storing it in their wood. As such, they have a significant impact on the level of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and climate change. However, the researchers say log jams like this are often ignored when it comes to their impact on the wider environment. There's been a lot of work on the fluxes of carbon from water and sediment, but we simply didn't pay attention to the wood until very recently. This is a very young field of research that is developing quite fast, and it's important to study this wood not only for the carbon cycle, but in general for our understanding of how the natural fluvial system works, how the rivers mobilize and distribute the wood. Virginia Ruiz Villeneuve, a fluvial geomorphologist at the University of Lausanne, who was not involved in the study, said in a statement. This latest estimate calculated that the logs in the Mackenzie River Delta stored about 3.4 million tons of carbon, which is a significant quantity even on a global scale. To put that in perspective, it's about 2.5 million car emissions a year, explained Alicia Sindarovsky, a research engineer who led the study with Colorado State University. That's a sizable amount of carbon, she said. Since this survey was only able to measure the surface of the logjam, it wasn't able to calculate the wood that was hidden beneath, meaning the true scale of the driftwood carbon store might be even higher. I'm going to mute to clear my throat. All right, I am back. Here we go. Wood has piled up here for a few different reasons. Firstly, drifts in the Arctic has, excuse me, drift in the Arctic has a habit of being transported across vast areas thanks to its expansive boreal forest and network of high latitude rivers. Secondly, the Mackenzie Delta is huge, allowing heaps of felled wood to congregate. Lastly, the Arctic's cold and often dry condition means the trees can remain in perfect condition for tens of thousands of years. The researchers note that some of these trees in the logjam look like they fell last winter, but they're actually decades or centuries old. Carbon dating has revealed that many of these trees are likely started growing in the 20th century, while some have been dated as far back as 1,300 years old. However, there's a decent chance the logjam is holding trees that fell thousands upon thousands of years ago. So, carbon in our environment and ways to contain it. Is this a new thought on how to deal with our carbon problem in the environment currently? I don't know. Is this notion of the fact that industrialization has basically done away with deadfall in all but the most primeval of forests? Most people, even people who have land that they hunt, generally try to keep it clear of timber. Fallen timber and things like that. I mean, of course, they do. It does retain a little bit, but nowhere near what you would have expected even just 100 years ago. That's the thing about deforestation in general. It's not just you don't get that you can't restore that. You can't restore old growth, and you can't restore that ecology that gets racked by that. And you can't bring back that decay that's needed at the base level. There needs to be a base level on an ecological scale. There needs to be a base level of decomposition that the whole thing is built on, right? That's the nutrients. That's also where the carbon is trapped. But when we clear our forests, when we do burns on these types of environments, it's just overall it's bad. it's contributing to this problem. But now that we kind of are starting to explore the storage of carbon in woods, I don't know if we know which wood types are better at storing it at this point, but I'm hoping to see more come from this type of research as far as maybe some systems of carbon filtration in our natural carbon filtration parks or something that are allowed to pull carbon from the environment. And I mean, we have national parks now. All we have to do is protect them, maybe expand them, maybe I think that having here's a notion, right? Instead of having because we have national parks and state parks, right? We have tons of them. But what if each county in the state had a public wildlife area that they were responsible for, and all the people can contribute to it and be proud of it. And they could all contribute to cultivating the indigenous species that thrive there, and just as a state pride thing. I mean, you could even rope the nationalist in on this, saying, "Hey, small government in control of a local wildlife refuge that they take care of and take pride in keeping the water clean and keeping their native species in check and knowing and keeping out invasive organisms and accommodating the world that we share with nature, the world that we share with all these other organisms. To be proud of it, say, hey, this is our land. Our land is beautiful. We take care of our land. These are our creatures. This is our forest. That there's people in this county. Each county could do it, like across the country. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Everybody takes part in that and dedicates, whatever swath of land it is, whatever swath of land. Do your horrible eminent domain thing over some land, but then dedicate it to this kind of care, right? Dedicate it to saying, hey, this is what we're going to do, and we're going to take pride in our region, and our little corner of the world is going to be beautiful. Think of it as your little shire, like the Hobbit, right? This beautiful place that's well tended and cared for generations later to see, and you take pride in that, right? Let's do that. Let's move our culture in that direction. That's what I'd like to see. I don't know if there's support for that kind of movement, but I can only hope. Anyway, thank you for joining me today live from the Hive. This has been Eco News, and please remember to be kind and take care, and we will see you next time. All right, and to my Live from the Hive audience, thank you so much for sticking around with me. It's been a wild ride. We had space clowns, and we had lizard people, and we had log jams, and we had beanies. It's been a crazy show, and it's been a wild ride. And we had licking toads, and we had dancing bats, and the winds of change struck the scorpions just right. So if you are feeling in the mood, hit that subscribe button. Hit that thumbs up. Tune in tomorrow for my interview with Pat Lowinger, and I'm going to harass him about ancient monoliths or megaliths in the North America. Be kind. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Hello and welcome. Godless Granny is about a lot of things. I talk about any issue that affects me or on which I have strong opinions. Most frequently, that's religious issues, women's issues, transgender issues, and political issues. I believe in social justice and equality for all. I feel that everyone has a right to believe what they want, but that right doesn't absolve you of criticism of your beliefs. Thus, I criticize both outlying religious ideas and mainstream ideology. I welcome theists to discuss or debate their issues with me live on stream. Contact me on Twitter if you'd like to do that. I was a Christian for 42 years. In my last decade as a believer, I became increasingly liberal, seeing that as being more consistent with biblical ideas. But eventually, the cognitive dissonance between liberal thought and certain parts of the Bible brought me to evolve my theology. I still hung on to the inerrancy of the Bible and continued to look for ways to interpret the Bible to fit reality. But when it was proven to me that the biblical flood did not happen, thank you Aaron Ra, Vice Rhino, and Pelagia, there was no longer anywhere to go. I had to let go of inerrancy. But without the Bible, my faith had no foundation, and then I left the faith. I have since met people of faith who reject inerrancy. I find this a more honest faith, but I also find it a purely human construct. Why believe in a God if you have to make up the God and what the God is all about? I now criticize the very religious beliefs that I held for decades, as I now realize that they not only do not originate from a God that loves me, but that they were dangerous in that they limited me. They limited me as a person by discouraging thought and learning. It restricted my relationships and my ability to develop myself as a person. I hope to do several things here. I hope to reach others of my generation, as we are the primary people that are still holding on to this outdated ideology. Second, I hope to reach the younger generation, imploring them not to follow in my footsteps. And third, I hope to show how the younger generation who has already left the faith can reach their parents. What arguments did I find convincing that will likely convince their parents? So come on in, let's have a chat.